So hey friends, welcome to this week's video. Hopefully you can see a little bit more color in my face because I am back from Puerto Rico. Unfortunately, we're back here in Boston in the cold, and that's a little depressing. So to combat the depression, I made sure that some sneakers came in. So that's what we're gonna go over today. Luckily, these came in right when I landed, so I'm able to look at these right away. But the reason why these caught my eye is because, again, they're Jordan 1. You guys have seen plenty of those on my channel. However, these ones particularly are Comfort 2 silhouette that have a little bit more technology that makes this a little bit more comfortable. That's something that we've always wanted out of Jordans, but again, with these Comfort 2s, they always come with the caveat that they're usually colorways no one wants. They're usually wild, they're usually a little bit like off or just not in the classic colorways that we're used to. They make them usually difficult to style and really annoying that they don't make these in more normal colorways that we're all used to. However, I understand that they're trying to push the envelope with these, so I can allow it for a little bit, but that's the reason why this particular sneaker caught my eye, because while it is a little bit crazy and it's still very divergent in acceptance amongst my friend group, I thought these were worth it because they were so unique. And these ones are the Dia de Muerte version of the Jordan 1 this year. These ones have an embroidered look on the outside with this very stiff leather that they've added. Again, this is the Comfort 2 silhouette, so there'll be some technologies that we'll go into shortly. But again, this sort of tan and black colorway with the embroideries, with the rose logos, this is the reason why I picked it up, and I thought that it was worth a shot at the Comfort 2 that I've been neglecting for so long. Again, I've tried them on foot. I've had some pairs that I borrowed from friends just to see how they felt, and they did feel nicer. Like, don't get me wrong, much better feel on foot than a traditional Jordan 1, which really don't get any love in terms of comfort functions. However, especially for the guys' shoes, the colorways are usually lame. I've gotten Comfort 2s for Samika that are actually very nice, but again, those are tailored more towards feminine aesthetics that just work for them better. If you wanted something that you could dress up, just there's no Comfort 2 out there that's really nice. So this one kind of fit the bill for me because they could be, you know, a little bit stealthy. They could be a little, they have like this very subtle pop to them, and they're unique enough where they're eye-catching. So like I could wear this in a lot of different scenarios that I could think of. So that's the reason why I picked these up. The embroideries are actually very nice. It is a nice feel because this leather that they use here is very, very smooth. So having the embroideries does give it a little bit of texture, and it really does make that pop. Obviously, it's supposed to give you this sort of faded aesthetic of like, here's a black sneaker that has some fading to fit with that Dia de Muerte feel of just aged look. But again, I wish they had actually just aged these rather than do this sort of spray painting to give it that sort of lived-in look. However, from afar, these look great. The thing that I will say is that the leather they use on these is stiffer. It's not necessarily thicker, it is just stiffer and less forgiving than what we're used to on Jordans. So this is something that we're definitely going to check the fit on because it's going to impact it. But enough about the exteriors. Let's go into the reasons why this Comfort 2 is actually going to be more, should be more comfortable with the implementations they throw out. So as we look into the collar, you'll notice that there's some perforations on the inside of the sneaker, and that those perforations go directly into the sock liner, which has a giant cutout that is supposed to give it a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more breathability. And I think it's because of this thicker leather that it's going to be less forgiving and less breathable that they need those perforations and holes to really make this more comfortable and doesn't overheat. Especially with this collar being a velvet material on the outside, it's going to retain heat a little bit more than just a basic mesh. So that's some considerations that they probably added in order for this to be more comfortable over long wearing sessions. However, the sock liner and the collar are not the only places that have additional cutouts. On the forefoot, there's also some cutouts that extend beyond the bend of the shoe. So normally with Jordan 1s, you have that flex point, but it's sort of all one cohesive piece of stitched together leathers. This one has actual gap with that velvet material where it can actually bend a little bit more easy. And again, this is probably going to be because of the thicker leather, or sorry, the more stiff leather that they're using, that they need to add that flex point to make it more comfortable and to allow the shoe to move normally. So you're not having crazy creases and it just doesn't feel like it's pinching anywhere. So that does help with that. So the thing about that velvet material is it does extend across the entire length of the tongue. The whole top side is going to be that velvet, so it will run a little bit warmer than normal. The breathability will probably be less. But the big thing on the tongue that kind of confused me or just got me surprised is I'm used to regular OG models which have a detached tongue. This one is actually surrounding your foot. It creates a sock liner on the inside, so it is attached to the footbed, and that is something that I had to get used to. It was just a little bit more constricting and it got me by surprise, as I mentioned. But it also does impact the fit because there's a little bit more material in there that's not normally there. So using a thicker sock, I could definitely feel it compressing my foot, and so I had to go to a thinner sock. However, even with the thinner sock, because of how stiff this leather is, I felt a lot more compression than I normally would. I wear a size 11 and I'm a wide footer, so going up half a size might be recommended if you want these to fit properly, because yeah, for wide fitters, it's just going to feel like your foot is being crushed. So I had to lace these out almost to the max and just kind of have that like no tie look, and that kind of helped with it. But again, the leather is really stiff and probably needs some breaking in, and it just feels like that sock liner is just adding some millimeters in there that really compress your foot. So overall, yes, it'll feel more locked down. It'll feel more, you know, cohesive as like it's on your foot and it has less wiggle room. However, it does impact the overall like step-in feel, step-in comfort, and maybe the longevity of how long you can wear this sneaker. However, the big technology here, we've talked about all the outside stuff. Let's talk about the footbed, because that's where a lot of the investment I feel like has went into this sneaker. So as you pull off the sock liner, you'll see that this is a little bit more molded than we're used to. It has arch support and it has a thicker piece of foam, when in normal OG versions, you kind of just have a thin piece of crappy foam because it's OG. But the newer technology obviously will help with support and step-in comfort. Under that, you do have a heel zoom unit that you can see on the bottom of the shoe that will help with a little bit of impact protection. And then they have this Formula 23 outsole here. So the outside is just a normal outsole with a little bit of grip, but that middle part here that you see is that Formula 23 material. What I will say is that it's super soft. So if I get some close-ups here, it's just very soft underfoot, and it's just when you compress it, you can see it really go through. So that should help with your overall ride throughout the day. But I want to say that while this is definitely more comfortable, I'm worried about longevity of this, because I can see that there's no ruggedization that they've added to this. It's just the foam straight on here. So I feel like this could get torn up so easily. Like just like walking on pavement, walking on rocks, you know, if you're not on a court, this is probably gonna get messed up real easy, especially if you live in a little bit more woodsy area. So the comfort's there, but just how long it will last, I'm not so certain. That exterior here that is a little bit more rugged, I don't feel like will hold up to really keep that foam protected. So well, that's something that you have to check out in the long term. But overall, again, step-in comfort is going to be very nice because of those three elements that they've added to it. The really big thing for me is that this stiff leather is really restrictive, and it really pains to wear, especially if you're a wide footer, because it just hugs too hard and you have to use like very thin socks to make it work. But I think the biggest issue with this is, again, I laced it out, I found the right socks, I did everything I could to make this shoe work. But the problem is that when you walk with it, because of the stiffness of the leather, despite the cutouts that they've added, it pinches the crap out of you. Like, you will bend this sneaker and it will literally dig into your toes. It'll dig into the top of your toes, and then when you finish your step, it'll literally pinch you in places on your foot. So it takes all of the comfort away because it's stabbing you. So I don't know if that's just me and my weird feet, but that's the biggest thing for me, is that these are so stiff that they compress you and then they freaking punish you for bending them. So I gotta walk like freaking penguin just to use these normally, but really these are a comfort pair that should be able to be used all the time. So that like really just leads me to my conclusion, is that like these look dope. They have some cool technology in them, but can I wear them? Absolutely not. And obviously I'll give you guys some on-feet looks in the end of this video. But right now I can't recommend these because these are just so uncomfortable. I will be reselling this. I can't keep these around as much as I want to, but yeah, it's just really unfortunate. I just would prefer to them you just use normal ass leather instead of like do this hard thing. Like, it's so hard. Why would you do this? Why would you think that's comfortable? Why would you put on a comfort? Like, if you just made this into like a regular shoe, I was like, cool, it's supposed to be uncomfortable. But this is a comfort model that you made uncomfortable. So like, finally you give us an interesting colorway, but then you took all of the benefits of actually trying to get a comfort model. So I don't know what they were expecting out of this. I'm definitely gonna resell these. But yeah, I don't know what else to say to you guys. I'll give you some quick looks at how you might be able to rock these, but I would not really recommend buying these. So now you guys have seen the shoe on foot, there's some things I forgot. They did in the box include a big ass sticker that tells you all the technologies that they've implemented this to make it a little bit more comfortable. Again, we've talked about this. Great in concept, not in execution. And then obviously with their design hits, they do a great job with all these like collectible boxes, all the Dia del Muerte like sort of branding and design hits all over the box. Familia focus. Again, that Familia is also inside with this nice pink hit on the paper. And they see like they just do such a good job about some of these designs, except they've just lost the plot midway through. They're like, cool, we got this dope design, we've gotten all the technologies on this to make it comfortable, but then they use like the worst material possible on the outside of the shoe that make it unusable. Like, again, comfort model that you somehow made uncomfortable. Okay, Nike, I don't know you want us to do with that stuff. Like, cool, but that's try kind of sucked. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is the very rare occasion I don't like the sneaker I'm trying on. So if you guys have any other requests, I don't really do sneaker requests because sneakers are expensive. So unless I want them anyway, I generally won't do a review. However, if you guys do have requests of things you want to see, of like technology, clothing that isn't $1 million, I can definitely pick it up. So if you guys have suggestions, put them in the comments section. But if you could, please like, comment, subscribe, do all things you normally do on a video that you like and love. And to my OGs, I'm back. So thank you so much for sticking with all the content. I know that I put on some random stuff lately, but I appreciate you guys sticking around with it. It's really helping grow the channel, and it's helping me work with some new companies that I've not heard of before. So really helpful for that. So thank you guys. But as always, I appreciate you. See you soon.